Do you all want to see a kid show with animals in it? No. I don't mean anthropomorphic animals. I meant real IRL animals in it, like Tilly here. Do you want to see a show with them? Well, you're in luck. The cover looks so cute, doesn't it? Hammy is trying to recreate the HMV logo. That's what you call an intro sequence, filming a remote-controlled boat going along a river. But do remember, these first 3 episodes are from the 1960s, which means they could only do so much for TV back then.
The Riverbank is a very active place on a summer's afternoon, but just as interesting things happen there at night, you know. And so, for a change, this is a night story, and it's all about the moon.
Oh, I say, I'm getting the spotlight for a change, not just those pesky little clangers all over my head.
Cheese with bacon fat sauce. But such a supper doesn't appeal very much to Hammy, especially since they've had it every night for a week.
Jesus, Roderick, have a bit of variety for dinner. I mean, not even my parents give me the same dry, bland, tasteless, leftover chicken and mash every day for a week. They give it to me every day for 6 days.
Poor little Hammy. He's too polite to tell Roderick that the very word cheese makes his stomach turn over, so he tries to swallow a few more morsels.
Just look how tiny the cutlery is. They could have just used normal-sized dinner plates for these close-up shots, but no, they went the extra mile and filled the tiny knife and the tiny fork props that they made for the animals. I'm holding back the need to say how cute these two are. I need to keep going.
Beautiful moon tonight, isn't it, Hammy?
Oh, why thank you down there. You're not a bad-looking chap yourself. Why don't you try asking the soup dragon more politely for a change?
Roderick tells Hammy the story of the night the moon came down to bathe.
Huh. Interesting. We've got a story within a story. Does Duke show up anywhere?
The moon was a great gleaming ball of orange tossed up against the inky black sky. Shafts of moonlight drifted over the tops of the trees, gilded the still surface of the dark river, and painted in shining gold the rustling reeds along its bank.
Most people didn't have color televisions in the 60s, so they couldn't tell.
Is it safe? Is it safe? No, it wasn't, for Mrs. Duck woke up and called them back and scolded them for being out.
Try whispering next time.
This is the night that the moon comes down to bathe, and the moon is very beautiful and very shy. Now, she certainly wouldn't like it if she thought that 4 naughty ducklings were watching her.
I'm a he, actually, Mom. They don't sing songs about the man in the moon for nothing, you know. Then again, the soup dragon might have eaten him by now.
How strange the familiar things of daytime looked by the haunting light of the moon. It's rather frightening for the ducklings.
I remember walking back from work during the winter on a few occasions when it gets really dark after 4 o'clock, and it does get a bit creepy. Not because there are predators out there like the Slender Man, because He doesn't exist, but because you are so used to seeing these locations in the day that it becomes quite the challenge to walk down the same route in near pitch black. There's a lot about it that you would need to remember.
No, don't! You mustn't! Mother will be furious!
But it was too late. And then, as his brothers watched breathlessly, the strangest thing happened. For the serene and shining moon suddenly splintered into 1,000 pieces of sparkling, glittering fire, and gleaming pinpoints of light flickered and darted and shot across the water like a million angry fireflies.
Oh my goodness, he's destroyed the moon! Up here, Sonny. I'm perfectly fine, you see. But what a hilarious joke for the eyes, eh, what?
And the rat stands still for a moment in the quiet of the evening. High above, circled with stars, floats the moon.
And if you hadn't picked it up by now, the one narrating all of these stories is Johnny Morris. Does that name ring a bell? Well, what about if I play this?
You look like an iced cake, Henry. That won't do for the royal train. Oh, no.
We don't want to be like those inquisitive ducklings. I think the thing for us to do is to get to bed.
Well, I'm in disgrace. The Fat Controller would never choose me.
Well, it's the design for my aeroplane, Roddy, my new flying machine.
Choose you? You can't climb hills. He will ask me to pull it. Why, it's from the wise old frog. How nice.
Please, sir, can Gordon pull coaches again?
Well, she is beautiful, isn't she, Roderick? I wonder if she'll come down tonight,
Yeah, he was one of the actors who read the Railway series books for vinyl records and audio cassettes, along with Willie Rushton, Sir John Gielgud, Ted Robbins, and, recently, Bruce Alexander. And Mr. Morris is one of my favourite one of those storytellers, next to Willie Rushton. I think one of the school classrooms had left the window open. That one looks like a UFO to me. Modern kids would find scenes like this boring as hell, but for me, it's beautiful, calming, and relaxing. Something to help take your mind off of what stresses you.
Guinea tries his best to explain the principles of heavier-than-air flight to Roderick, but the rat simply cannot understand.
Oh, it's impossible, Guinea, impossible.
In real life, yes, but in the creative world of television, no.
Progress, Roddy, progress. Why, everybody's flying these days, everybody.
And he does mean everyone, for better or for worse.
Oh, he's building some sort of unlikely contraption, Hammy.
That Guinea is the busiest pig I know. What's he building this time, Roddy?
Hammy, you are cute as hell, but don't talk with your mouth full.
Careful, Hammy. Now behave yourself.
The hamster is behaving himself, or at least he's trying to. He isn't going to break anything, he just wants to look.
Oh, by the way, Hammy, don't touch the propeller. Or,
What have I done? Oh my goodness, what have I done?
1. Great job building one of those planes that starts up just by moving the propeller. And 2. Said propeller nearly sliced that poor little fluffball's head off. He must have been traumatized.
Guinea isn't much help since he never had it running himself, and so Hamster is left to solve the problem alone.
Guinea had plenty of time to climb into the cockpit and pressed any of the buttons himself to make it stop.
Well, I suppose I could stop it the way I started it, but it might hurt a bit. Here goes. Now. Oh!
Okay, I've changed my mind about the propeller statement. It wasn't even spinning fast enough to even knock Hammy out.
Are you sure, Guinea?
Well, there's no doubt about it, Mr. Hamster. If you'd care to assist in collecting the Riverbank mail, we'll be off.
That can't be all of the mail for this huge riverbank, surely.
Right then. Stand clear. Hemmy, come back. You're too young. Hemmy. Stand by. Prepare for takeoff.
That magnificent pig and his flying machine. He goes up dilly up up, he goes down dilly down down. He impresses the hamster and steals the scene with his up dilly up up and his down dilly down down. Up, down, flying around, looping the loop and defying the ground. He's so frightfully keen, that magnificent pig and his flying machine.
Oh dear. Oh, they've gone. They've gone. I'll never see Hemmy again.
He can fly upside down with his claws in the air. He doesn't think of danger, he doesn't care. Roderick would think he had made a mistake to trust Guinea Pig and the chances he takes.
Hemmy, look out!
By this time, Hammy's almost had enough and says that he'd like to go down now if Guinea doesn't mind.
At your service, Mr. Co-Pilot. Hang on to your hat if you've got one.
And they're dead. Serves Guinea right for being so reckless and... Okay, how? How did they survive? What, did their own soft, fluffy bodies break their fall?
Delighted with his new position, the hamster distributes his letters immediately. The first flight of the Riverbank airmail service has been accomplished, thanks to Guinea Pig and his co-pilot, Hammy.
How was the test between the frog and the turtle supposed to work in this case? I'd understand if the frog was like on the far side of the riverbank and turtle was still with Roderick, but this sort of trial doesn't really work if they're both right next to each other the whole time.
Early afternoon, or after lunch nap time, to those who take an after lunch nap.
Yeah, I usually take a nap after an hour or two after work, even though I never really want to. I don't want my parents calling me from downstairs for something 3 times in a row, only to find me asleep when I shouldn't be. I wake up way too early for work.
And the goods, certain treasures belonging to Uncle Roderick.
Is Uncle Roderick Roderick's uncle? Very original name there, just as original as naming every member and descendant of your family Baldrick.
The robbers, a couple of juvenile delinquents known as the Hamster Nephews, alias Light-Fingered Bertie and Heavy-Handed Herbie.
Well, Heavy-Handed Herbie is going the extra mile. He has put on a dead accurate Hammy disguise. Oh wait, that is the same hamster who plays Hammy. They were just giving him more than one role for budgetary reasons.
Ah, there it is. Look out.
I wish I was that heavy a sleeper.
Why, I do believe the one that makes that noise and those bubbles is my old friend Turtle.
Good morning, Mr. Frog, good morning.
Fine morning, Mr. Turtle.
Have you seen Master Splinter anywhere?
Here the boys have set up shop. What mischief are they planning now? Herbie has just filled the scrubbing pail with water and is drying his fingers.
I just can't believe how tiny these props are. A Micro Machines car looks bigger than them. These hamsters would have obviously had sucked up the soap water first, even after being told by the set crew to blow, just like most children who use blow pens, which is most likely why they are just biting into matchsticks instead. These hamster nephews have just invented the bubble thing.
Fucking bubbles!
These bubbles are going somewhere, and the only where to go is in that direction, and it's Uncle Roderick's house.
Oh, okay. Uncle Roderick was just what the hamster nephews refer to Roderick as. Though, could you blame me earlier? Johnny Morris mentions Uncle Roderick 30 seconds before he introduces Bertie and Herbie. Wait, how can two hamsters have a rat uncle anyway?
Hey, what? Hey, what's that? Who's there?
Okay, so the pipe falling on the floor didn't wake him up, but these quiet little bubble pops did? Mind you don't bump into any weasels out there, and there won't be a badger around to protect you.
By the time that Roderick reaches them, they've swallowed so much soap that they both look pretty green around the gills.
Oh, they sucked up the soap anyway? Kids always do that, don't they?
We're ever so sorry, really we are. Oh, please, Uncle Roderick, we didn't mean any harm. Really we didn't. No, honestly we didn't.
How did they do that? Did they cut between shots? Did they add the bubble in post-production somehow? Or, God help us, did the hamsters actually devour a bit of soapy bubbles while on the set? And now we come to the sequel series of the 60s series, which was released in 1991. And luckily, Johnny Morris was still alive at this time, so he was able to come back and narrate 26 more stories.
The trees need all their strength to stand up to it. They're lucky. They have long roots that go deep into the ground to stop them falling over.
Some trees have stronger roots than others, obviously.
Where are you? GP! GP!
What's the matter, Hammy?
He was referred to as just Guinea Pig in the original series. Strange how one of the main characters didn't have an actual name, like Hammy Hamster or Roderick Rat, but just his species title. I guess they decided to change it in this revival series by shortening it to GP. Since this was made in the 90s, I kinda think this was the crew trying to fit into a trend at the time, shortening names to abbreviations.
Don't worry, Mr. McD.
DW, could you give me a hand?
Come on, up in.
We're not going in this, are we?
Why? What's wrong with it?
Well, it's an RC car, and them made in the 90s could give little sensitive animals like Hammy a rough, bumpy ride, going in all directions.
Well, it's falling to bits.
Or that. Look at the guinea pig. I wonder how much careful effort they had to push his head out of the window. He must have been wriggling himself free for dear life.
GP, I don't think this is going to work.
Don't be silly, Hammy. Of course it'll work.
Both Both the Jeep and the circus tent are both as light as cloth. I don't see how it's so heavy that it causes the engine to overheat, especially if they're trying to depict the plastic Jeep for an actual Jeep.
GP's other idea is his balloon, and he needs to be very brave to go up in such a strong wind.
Look at the way the balloon's basket is blown at a 90-degree angle. Maybe having a fake guinea pig prop inside may have given it a little bit of stable weight.
It's lucky I'm a great pilot. Now then, where's that tent? Ah, there it is. Right.
It's nice to see that they alternate between filming on location in actual fields and riverbanks with the props and filming in an in-house animal-safe set with sky backdrops.
Aren't you excited? No. Why should I be? I never get excited.
I never thought being excited was a bad thing in life.
Not even when the circus owner gives us free tickets as a reward? Free tickets? Yeah. What, for the show? Yeah. And it's just about to start.
Now it's making me think what sorts of tricks these little animals can do, given their limits. They're not really acrobatic, they can't make them juggle on screen, balancing them on balls would be an instant fall to the ground. I can only imagine them putting a top hat on them and just doing some magic tricks. Oh, speaking of which...
I'm fed up with him. Hello, GP.
A guinea pig gypsy. And I thought I had seen everything.
GP listens carefully as Betty explains that every magician has a special magic word. And if anyone can guess what it is, they can take away his magic.
Well, unless this magician usually says his magic word out loud to make sure his spells work, that's going to take someone their entire lives to guess what the word is.
Shall I turn him into a bird, or a frog, or even a grey squirrel?
Oh, a squirrel would be nice.
Yes, I think it would.
I bet Abe was intentionally wanting to turn a ground animal who was afraid of heights to turn him into a different animal who has to spend the rest of his life up in a tree.
Aha, GP, what brings you here?
Well, screw fixing the old blue Jeep, GP just straight up bought a new one. Now that I have frozen this frame, it's making me think, what's the point of the Jeeps having seats if everyone is always standing on their hind paws and putting their front halves through the windshield every time?
Abe whispers his magic word. Heavens above! Oh my goodness!
And we never see Rupert again for the rest of the episode. Seriously, Abe or GP never summon him back. I'd like to think that Abe, being the dick that he is, teleported him into the middle of the deepest part of the river.
Abracadabra! You mean abracacamera?
He summoned the camera as if his magic word was abracacamera, except it isn't. It's likely that he said the actual word in his mind while he was speaking.
Oh, it's your camera, GP.
Yes, isn't that what he wanted?
I keep thinking that hat is going to fall in a round arc to the ground.
Fiddlesticks!
And that's when it happens.
My hat! You knew all along that fiddlesticks was my magic word, didn't you?
Isn't it lucky that Abe's magic word was the most common, old-fashioned, certificate U curse word ever known to man?
What's this? GP seems to be having a problem.
Do I want to know what that is?
It's me, all right, Harry. Are you in there? Yeah, with Roderick. You see, GP's been trying to launch us, but he isn't quite strong enough. Would you try?
Launch them? Wait, where are Hammy and Roderick right now? Inside this thing? There's yellow painted walls and equipment inside.
This is no problem at all to me.
That machine has obviously been elevated a little and moved across the set with string in time with the tortoise, so as not to give him such a huge strain.
GP can't help feeling just a little lonely and unwanted.
Isn't that going to drown them?
Down in the diving bell, meanwhile, Hammy and Roderick are far too excited to notice.
The diving bell? Oh, wait, I get it. They converted what looks like a town crier's bell inside and out into a submarine. Though it looks a little bit small to house a hamster and a rat inside to me. And I would imagine that the weight of the iron shell of the bell would have instantly made it sunken treasure.
Watch out for those rocks.
Case and point. Also, great job frightening the animals there by tilting the set.
Using all his strength, he heaves and heaves on the rope until suddenly the diving bell breaks free. And just look what's caught on it.
I have no idea how this is happening. No magnets because they both look old. It's not caught on any exterior ropes. It's just glued to the side.
Up, up, up goes the diving bell until it reaches the surface.
Oh wait, now I can see. One of the chest's handles is caught in some wire around the bell. It's still a bit of a stretch though.
And the two friends scramble out to thank their rescuer.
Wow, that hamster's really impatient, isn't he?
GP doesn't answer because pulling up the diving bell has left him completely out of puff.
I think it's just a sign that he's getting old, because what makes him think that this new diving bell would be any lighter than the old one?
There's nothing quite like a quiet trip down the river.
After seeing Betty the Gypsy Pig, then I thought I had seen everything. But there being an actual king, let alone a leader of the Riverbank, with a turtle servant, has proven me wrong yet again.
Turtle, what's happening? We seem to be filling up with water. Turtle, where are you? Oh, good grief. We're sinking. We're definitely sinking.
This is why you don't work your servants to the point of exhaustion, people.
Abandoned ship. Oh, thank heavens.
Well, at least this bumbling old king can swim, even if it was for a few meters.
I say, what can that be? Roderick, are you in there? Oh, it's you, Your Majesty. Yes, I'm in here.
He can barely fit through the door. You can even see the guinea pig struggling a bit. You'd think Roderick would have winded it a bit for bigger animals, like GP.
Well, whatever's the matter? I've just been sunk by an enemy submarine. Enemy submarine?
Riverbank animals have enemies? Well, if they have, the show did a poor job of establishing them to us. It can explain the purposes of the roots of trees, but not that owls can eat mice.
It is my duty, as King of the Riverbank, to tell you that as from now, we are at war.
I think CITV was allowed to put whatever the hell they wanted into their programs back then, whether it be poisonings, drownings, explosions, side character deaths, main character fake-out deaths, and even as recent as the 2010s, abusive families.
We'll be ready. I've told Sergeant Emmy to issue everyone with a rifle.
They allowed these cute, tiny, fluffy rodents to use rifles. Rifles. Never mind this being a far cry for what you'd expect from shows for this kind of age demographic. This is a far cry from what I have watched from the 60s series.
Above all, we must remain calm. They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming. Run for your lives. Yeah, run for your lives. Look, they're all over the place. Yeah, where are they? Down there. No, come on, run. They're coming, they're coming, they're coming.
Panicking the second they have been told to be calm in a deadly situation. Pretty natural.
Not a sign of any enemy anywhere. Hammy suggests sending out patrols.
The hamster clearly didn't like being forced to wear the lieutenant helmet.
GP is sent up in his airplane.
Not a sausage.
Quite the upgrade from the last plane, isn't it?
An enemy submarine crept up the river and fired 2 torpedoes, one sinking my boat and the other sinking Port Turtle.
I thought the turtle was underneath the carriage while pulling it, hence why it stays on the water and why it sunk later on.
I wasn't sinking. I was just having a little dive.
You mean you weren't hit by a torpedo?
No, I just forgot I was pulling you.
How exactly can you forget the hulking mass you were carrying on top of your shell?
Oh dear. I suppose you all think I'm really silly. Yeah.
And for once, old King Gus is right.
For once? You mean he has always been as bumbling and as incompetent as been displayed here today? After a mishap like this, I think it's about time someone much more reliable should be knighted as the king.
Water rat's in a hurry today. I wonder what he's up to.
A water rat owning a boat selling company. Yeah, he knows it all too well. There's nothing like messing around on boats.
Roderick, of course, is right and tows poor GP back home. He'll have to think of another idea.
He's not even towing GP here. Even they knew this raft prop was too light for the guinea pig's weight.
And where better to think than in the bath?
I wonder what I can use.
From looking at the process of gathering water, every bath GP must have must be rather cold. There's no way to heat the water up in the winter or something. Unless the interior of his watermill is already as warm as toast.
I've got it. I'll use my bath. It keeps water in, so it should keep water out too.
It's not that far-fetched of an idea. I mean, if some people can turn a car and a collection of caravans into a passenger train, turning a metal bath into a sailboat isn't too far off.
There are lots of animals watching at the start of the race.
Except for those two.
And lots of animals ready to race too.
Are you sure Turtle's get-up really counts as part of a boat race? All of his legs are already built-in propellers. That one is already spinning out of control.
The guinea pig twins just can't sit still. Look out! Look out! Oh, no!
That guinea pig was all like, fuck this filming shit, I'm out.
The gerbil is too heavy. Help! Help!
He didn't even have any oars or anything. How is his canoe even moving?
What have you done? You were just coming to the finish. Oh, I know. That's the problem. When I'm in the bath and about to finish, I always pull the plug.
I don't know why he would pull the plug out when he hadn't even won the race yet. I thought he would have done the DIY to fill in the plug hole.
It's night time on the riverbank, but Hammy and Betty are still awake.
Taken out of context, this shot with the mist, the dark lighting, and the gypsy pig makes this all look like a Halloween setting for a card or a calendar your grandma would make or something.
They ask Hedgehog. After all, he snuffles along the riverbank every night, looking for slugs.
I'm not sure how hedgehogs are like being this close to water, but I can assume they are good enough swimmers.
A crystal ball? No. And I haven't seen any slugs either. My tummy's beginning to rumble again. Oh.
Well, he's going to starve then, unless there is someone's vegetable patch close by or something.
Well, there might have been a crystal ball, but then I wouldn't have seen it because at night I like to tuck my head inside my shell.
I think they were better off asking the turtle than the tortoise. You'd think a show set entirely on the riverbank and its animals would be aware of the difference.
The diving bell hasn't been used for quite a while, and the doors on the shed are rather stiff.
This is implying that this is the first time they had used the diving bell in this new series, even though a previous episode said they were going to either repair or buy a new bell. Is this tape having another distributors mixing the episode order up situation again? Underground Ernie, Paddington Bear, plenty of Thomas tapes and DVDs, and now this one?
Well, it must be there. I saw it last night. And the night before. And the... Oh.
Roderick is too tired to even give a rat's ass. Pun probably intended.
And that's when Hammy suddenly realizes what it is that he's been looking at. He runs back to the riverbank, and sure enough, there's the crystal ball. Or something very like a crystal ball.
We were seriously doing a rehash of the first episode we looked at today, even though Hammy should have known what the moon looks like on the river after Roderick told him the whole duckling story.
It's very quiet on the riverbank today, and Roderick is enjoying a nice, peaceful spot of fishing.
Fishing? You mean to catch and then throw back into the water? Or catch, cook, and eat? You never know in this extraordinary society of animals.
This is the life, eh, Hammy? Oh dear.
These shots are clearly someone carrying the plane prop up and down with the animals inside the cockpit while being filmed.
No!
And this shot was filmed with the camera upside down. The filming crew and trainers aren't so cruel as to force a hamster upside down in such a cramped space.
But are you sure we're safe, GP? Of course we're safe. Look out, GP!
Moral of the story: never listen to GP.
GP and Hammy are soaked to the skin.
Dear God, those two. I'm surprised they're not shivering. Someone get them to a fireplace. Stat!
GP and Hammy are soon dry again, and soon fast asleep as well, exhausted by their adventure.
I wonder how they managed to let this hamster genuinely sleep in front of a scary camera in its current position. I'd imagine them curling up into a ball in the corner of the set in order for that to happen.
Roderick shows them some plans. The idea involves building something. Careful with that saw.
Letting the white rat near wood-cutting equipment. To me, it doesn't even look as if Roderick is holding down the trigger I'm assuming the saw has. He looks too small for it.
Have you guessed what they're doing yet? That's right. They're making floats for the plane to land on water.
That I think the plane has never been seen with again in any other episodes.
The plane takes off from the water as easily as it does from land.
Hooray!
Not convincing from the way it's been filmed. The plane prop was just too heavy to give the full illusion.
It's raining again on the riverbank, just as it's done for 3 whole weeks.
Welcome to the UK, Mr. Morris, where the canals overflow and the government allows the drains to flood electrical generators. Like it's nothing to worry about.
We've got to do something.
That shot looks a bit too sunny to be in a flood episode.
GP, meanwhile, has gone to Miss Much's shop with his raft. That's it, Miss Much. Keep floating the food out to me.
Is that a miniature whole chicken? Of all the questions that can arise from seeing a rat owning a general store in the middle of a riverbank, how come that is the first one that springs to mind?
What's the matter? Oh, the plane. It won't be able to take off. Look, GP. Oh, heck.
And I don't see the new floats anywhere. So, yep, the distributors in charge of this videotape don't give 2 fucks about the episode order.
What about the boat? Or the raft? No, they'd keep getting caught on fences and bushes just under the water.
Well, neither of them had any problems with them so far.
Right. I think that's it. Let's go then. Now what's the matter?
Wait, I can remember there being a creaking noise when the raft is lifted up.
Let's go then. Now what's the matter?
Are we running into a Restored Thomas episode situation all over again? It looks like they live in tiny model houses, judging by the roofs they are standing on. But most of the other homes we have seen in this show have been built into the landscape, like burrows and things.
Why didn't I think of this before?
You mean, why didn't I think of it? Come on, kids. Let's get going.
Turtle has kids? Since when did he ever have a wife?
Oh, good luck, everyone. And thanks again.
Don't mention it.
Well, even though no one cared about the episode orders on this VHS, this is at least a nice fitting scene to round off the whole tape, showing the 3 main characters helping the riverbank during a natural crisis, ending with shots of the 3 heroes.
And so, in the end, none of the animals along the riverbank go hungry. And it's all thanks to Roderick, GP, and Hammy.
Dear God, it's been way too long since I last did one of these videos. They seem a lot quicker and simpler to produce than my bigger projects. Plus, it allows newcomers or Western people to take a look at all of the obscure childhood shows that not many people really talk about. I want to do another one of these in the future, but I just don't know which one to do next. My nostalgia hasn't been entirely critiqued dry yet, but for now, consider this video as a potential comeback.